Hello once again, my beautiful movie peeps out there. Hollywood is on fire, man. I'm just gonna be straight honest with you guys. A lot of this side flick will be attached and dedicated to the whole SAG strike and the projects currently affected that have been halted. I'm gonna do my best to break down why this strike is going on, some of the demands happening, and some of the scary things the studios are wanting to do for the future of media. Movies and other topics relating to that I'll be talking about here are things like Deadpool 3 halting production, Bob Iger, CEO of Disney, saying he's gonna slow down on Marvel and Star Wars content. Really, that along with so much more, I'm gonna put it all timestamp in the description, but I'm gonna just tell you, this is one of side flicks where you kind of need to watch from the beginning to the end. Don't be skipping around now. I'll know, okay? I'll know. But okay, let's just go ahead and dive into it now. So by now you probably have heard that SAG, the Screen Actors Guild of America, have gone on strike alongside WAG, the Writers Guild of America, and this is the first time in 60 years that both unions will be on strike simultaneously, really putting a halt to anything going on in Hollywood. With the writers' strike going on, they just had to stop writing, but studios already have so many scripts, stories, and things like that that they buy ahead of time that they can go months without having to write new stuff because they already got a bunch of things in the vault. Now with the actors on strike, they can't film any of that stuff. Going through like the laundry list of some of the things these actors can't do now that they're on strike is they're not allowed to be in any acting. They can't promote any stuff like in interviews at Comic-Cons. They can't do any award shows. Even a social media post on Instagram or Twitter isn't allowed for a lot of these actors to be talking about their movies. So with that in mind, it's time to ask, well, why are the actors on strike? What are they demanding and what are they trying to negotiate with the big honchos in the studios about what is fair pay? Well, there's several issues, but I'm mainly going to be sticking to the three biggest issues that are a big problem right now and what they're fighting for. Issue number one, that was a common issue with the writer's strike, is the use of AI. In our modern age, AI has become so advanced and it's capable of a lot of scary things, replacing so many jobs that we never expected to be replaced by a machine. You know, on the writer's side of things, they didn't want an AI to write an entire movie script or even do rewrites. You know, every time a writer out there sends the first draft of like the new Marvel movie, the studio and Kevin Feige, they all have notes about what they want to change, what they don't like about it, and they send it back to that writer to do some rewrites, and that costs money every time they want to rewrite. With AI, they could just plug it into a machine, say, oh, can you change this scene, do this, add comedy here, and boom, bada bing, you don't have to pay anybody anymore for that. So on the actor side of things, how does AI possibly affect an actor's job? Well, let me go ahead and play you this clip on one of the scary things the studios are wanting to do with AI and background actors.
On to every point of it. But this groundbreaking AI proposal that they gave us yesterday, in that groundbreaking AI proposal, they proposed that our background performers should be able to be scanned, get paid for 1 day's pay, and their company should own that scan, their image, their likeness, and should be able to use it for the rest of eternity in any project they want with no consent and no compensation. So if you think that's a groundbreaking proposal, I suggest you think again.
That is some insane Black Mirror evil executive stuff we're talking about. Like the executive who wrote that down thinking that was a groundbreaking deal, he had a twirling mustache. He was grabbing it all going, I will own you forever. Like background actors and extras are the backbone of a lot of movies and TV shows we watch. They fill up the space and they're people too trying to earn a wage, trying to survive. And they don't get paid a lot. They get paid like $50 to $200 for 1 day's work. If they have to film a scene where they're like, I don't know, in Times Square and Spider-Man's there fighting a bad guy and they need a bunch of people there, that scene could take a week to fill, so they need those extras coming back for an entire week. To think they just want to bring them in for 1 day, scan their face, and then own what they look like forever. You could be watching Avengers 47 in the future with your grandkids and be like, there I am. I was 23 right there. That's robot me, man. And as always, that's just the start. It's background actors today. In a few years, they'll want to do supporting actors and then the main lead. We saw 20 minutes of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny was a de-aged young Harrison Ford. What is going to stop a future where an entire movie is made up of an AI digital effect? So, okay, limiting the use of AI, that's a big thing that they're fighting for. Next is residuals. Now, if you're not too familiar with residuals, this is a back-end pay that they use to pay a lot of actors or writers for movies and TV shows. The way this would work is it was usually in the contract that they would get a percentage of the ongoing sales for things like how much the movie makes at the box office, DVD sales, VOD sales, reruns on TVs, because back when everybody was just watching everything on TV, a rerun of George Lopez still had modern day commercials and promotions for upcoming things that were being paid for and would help to pay those actors and writers for an episode that was written years ago. And the big problem why this model doesn't exactly work anymore is because of streaming. In the age of Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, residuals are almost impossible to calculate. Because think about a movie like Prey or a show like WandaVision. These are movies or shows that don't have physical releases. You can't go buy a copy of season 1 of WandaVision at your local store. You can't even buy the movie Prey, a movie about one of the coolest science fiction characters out there, the Predator. You can't buy a physical copy of that. And so back in the day when they would put it in actors' contracts that they would get a percentage of the DVD sales, the online VOD sales, all of that doesn't exist anymore because the movie's just there on streaming for a monthly fee that is also for a bunch of other content. And it's also worth pointing out, because I've seen a lot of people push back on this who aren't really understanding, and they think this actor strike is for the money-hungry A-list actors that already get paid $10 million to show up in a Marvel movie and the Barbie movie. They're like the small 1% of Hollywood actors that get paid absurd amount of money just for being in the film. But for every big blockbuster movie that has an A-list actor, there are about 100 other actors that also show up in the movie that are not getting paid A-list money and are struggling off camera. That's who we're really fighting for, is the people that maybe has one line of dialogue, that's the cashier at a coffee store and hands the big lamed actor their coffee. They still deserve to earn a wage where they're not almost homeless. And since those are the people that make up a large percentage of the actors out there, the studios are also doing loophole things to pay them the minimum so they don't have to offer them health care or anything that costs them more money. And this is something Matt Damon has brought up.
We got to hold strong till we get a deal that's fair for working actors. It's the difference between having health care and not for a lot of actors, and we got to do what's right by them.
And that really right there is the third big issue, is getting paid a minimum amount so that you can be granted health care, so you can be given these benefits that a typical job would give you. And again, I think all of this comes down to the world in the age of streaming. AI is a whole different thing, but streaming has just totally revolutionized Hollywood. It's basically what like the iPhone was for the phone industry and changed that entire landscape. Streaming has just completely changed the model of how studios spend their money and how to pay actors. And with a gigantic shift like that, you need to also adjust and be fair to those actors you're putting in your work. But okay, now hopefully you understand a little bit of why this strike is going on and some of the important issues. And we even have now Bob Iger, CEO of Disney, making some statements about the future of what he sees in content creation. And I found some of this fascinating. So for one, Bob Iger did come out and say that he is hoping to produce less Marvel and less Star Wars content, and even blames Disney Plus, his own streaming service, for why audiences aren't that interested. He said here exactly, spending less on what we make and making less. Marvel is a great example of that. It had not been in the television business at any significant level, and not only did they increase their movie output, but they ended up making a number of TV series. Frankly, it diluted focus and attention. And with everything going on, I do have to agree with Bob Iger here. I'm surprised he came out and was that candid about it. But one of the main reasons like the studios are holding back and not wanting to pay these actors or writers the amounts they're asking for is because streaming isn't as profitable as we think. Disney, for one, is like always said to be losing billions. And I feel like they really executed their way of streaming horribly, because when I think of watching something on Disney Plus for fun, it's always an IP-based thing. I'm either watching a Star Wars show, a Marvel show, or just something related to a movie out there. I'm never going to Disney Plus like I do with Netflix to watch something not related to a movie or a big brand. On Netflix, I'll watch a documentary, or I'll watch the Netflix original movie, or a crime series or whatnot. You never have that thought to go to Disney Plus. You only think, oh, I watch my Marvel spin-offs there. I watch my Star Wars spin-offs there. And also, since you're putting so much content out there for one specific brand like Marvel and Star Wars, you are just bringing down the interest. Take a look at Secret Invasion, a show right now I'm watching that I think is actually pretty good, one of the better Disney Plus shows that they have put out. and nobody is talking about it. This thing is having very low viewership, and it's bringing some monumental changes to the MCU that no one is talking about. Like, spoilers, if you haven't kept up with Secret Invasion, I'll take that spoiler tag away once I'm done, but like, it was revealed Rhodey is a Skrull. That is a huge, gigantic reveal. And it was done in a show that like no one is talking about. Even the day that episode came out, I barely saw any of my mutual movie people on the internet buzz about it. I saw maybe like 1 or 2 posts. It's nothing like the WandaVision days when that came out and buzz about a Disney Plus show was like at an all-time high. So honestly, I hope that becomes true, that they make less and that everything that comes out starts to feel like a big event and you get excited for it instead of a lot of this stuff ending up feeling like homework for the fandom just because they want to be caught up in what's going on in their fandom. So now kind of jumping off those points here with the strike going on and things being halted, Variety did put out an article of movies and things that were currently being filmed that have now stopped, and some of these shows and movies that have been stopped we do have little updates on, so I'm going to go through it here. So not only do they already mention, you know, Gladiator 2, but also Mortal Kombat 2. Mortal Kombat 2 had just started filming in Australia. We were getting some behind the scenes set photos with producers attached to the movie. We even got one of Carl Urban and what he's going to be looking like as Johnny Cage. He shaved that Billy Butcher beard. Oi! And you know what, as skeptical as I was about Carl Urban being Johnny Cage, I think he kind of looks great right here, and now I'm starting to kind of see the vision. The guy looks like 10 years younger once he shaved that beard. Another big one that you've been hearing a lot of buzz about lately is Deadpool 3 has now officially stopped production on the movie because they do want to go ahead and support the strike, and this has been talked about because of those awesome set photos and videos coming out about Deadpool 3, like seeing Deadpool and Wolverine fight each other. Oh, that looks fantastic. And even some of the most recent set photos, you have Wolverine with physical claws. They're not just going to CGI them in. And just seeing them fight side by side in those colorful, bright costumes. Oh, I can't wait for this to happen. Now, I also want to point out, though, some people are misinterpreting what like stop production means, halt production. I've gotten so many comments of people saying, Chris, did you hear they canceled Deadpool 3? It's not going to happen anymore. And I'm like, read these articles, man. Deadpool 3 is still going to happen. They are not going to cancel this movie, even if the strike goes on till the rest of this year and it brings us into 2024 and they still haven't reached an agreement and we're all on strike. Deadpool 3 is still going to happen. With a lot of these projects that were in the middle of filming something but now stopped, it doesn't mean they're getting canceled and are now no longer happening. It just literally means that they've paused in support of the strike, and once the strike is over and a fair deal is made, it is back to work. So please don't be falling for those clickbait BS headlines that Deadpool 3 is canceled or that it's in danger of not happening anymore. This, along with like a lot of other projects, are still going to happen. They've already put in so much money into production, costumes, sets, locations, and whatnot. They're not just going to go, we filmed like half or 25% of the movie. Let's just forget about it. As a small little added on scoop with Deadpool 3 separate from the writer's strike, some new information has come out about the movie I did find interesting and I thought was like a nice little side note to talk about. We have heard that Deadpool 3 is going to be, you know, like a big multiverse movie, include a lot of cameos and appearances from like characters of the past Fox universe. But instead of talking about and ruining the surprises of people that'll show up, let's talk about some people that you shouldn't get your hopes for to show up in this movie. It's not really a spoiler to say who's not coming in the movie, right? If anything, that'll just set your expectations better. But we had here, Can We Get Toast, a scooper online that has been reliable in the past, saying here that we shouldn't expect to see the young X-Men cast show up in Deadpool 3, not Michael Fassbender, James McAvoy, Evan Peters Quicksilver. Basically, the later on younger X-Men, they're not going to be showing up in Deadpool 3. They already had their like small cameo in Deadpool 2 as a little sight gag. I always loved that cameo with all of them there in the background. And as much as it kind of sucks that they won't be part of it, it sounds like Deadpool 3 is already stuffed and they're focused on one direction for the movie, mainly bringing back the older X-Men people like James Marsden, Hugh Jackman, Charles Xavier, Ian McKellen Magneto. A lot of those actors are rumored to be part of Deadpool 3 with like iconic looking costumes the same as Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and that kind of makes sense to me. We already had Days of Future Past that was like a good mixture of the old and new X-Men. This one is going to be more of a closure, a saying goodbye to the Fox Fox universe, and why not close it out with the actors who also started the Fox universe? So yeah, I just thought that was something interesting to kind of talk about here. But getting on to other projects being halted because of the strike, we have season 3 of the Chucky TV series, something I was really looking forward to and wanting to talk about. We have basically been talking about it for the past 2 years, because every Halloween we get a new season of the Chucky TV series. And even though I was mixed on the last season, I wanted to see a season 3 and this story continue. But now it's been confirmed online by some crew members attached to the show that they have halted production. Now this is kind of good and bad news for me, because one, I was not seeing any behind the scene photos, any like updates that they were even filming. So them saying that they've stopped filming does let me know they filmed most of this thing. They've gotten to like episode 6 or 7, because we saw a production designer post a picture with her dog with the episode 7 script, and the show only has like 8 episodes. So they were like about 60-70% done here, but now they have paused in support of the strike. And I really don't know what that means for the show, if they will be releasing it come this October like they were planning to, but only half of the season, and then tease like a mid-season finale and then bring it back once the strike is over and they can film the remaining couple episodes, or is it just not being released until they can film the entire thing? Along with that, we also got a leak of what is said to be the episode titles of season 3, and I think these are just kind of like fun little things to look at and speculate what it could mean. You'll notice a lot of these titles take inspiration from popular horror movies like Jennifer's Body, for once. That's that Megan Fox movie, but it's also a play on words because the Chucky series always deals with Jennifer Tilly's body coming in and out of the doll. Let the Right One In, that's the vampire movie. Now, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, that's going to be an interesting episode, because every season of the Chucky TV series, we get a Halloween episode. And with this one continuing that trend and being named after Season of the Witch, it could foreshadow a very different kind of Halloween episode, just like Season of the Witch was a very different kind of Michael Myers Halloween movie, because it wasn't a Michael Myers movie at all. You'll also notice that episode 6 is missing, and that's usually the episode where like something big is happening, a big death occurs, and it feels like maybe the title for episode 6 was too much of a spoiler to reveal out, so they didn't leak it. So that's gonna have me wondering, especially since the previous episode is a play on the stages of grief when someone does die. So that's definitely something they're building up to. The other one I want to talk about is episode 8, called Final Destination. That's also a fun play on words, because Final Destination has the actor Devon Sawa in the first movie, and Devon Sawa is a big character in both seasons. This show could be a play on this being the final episode. Also, Devon Sawa's connection to Final Destination, just kind of fun stuff in there. But yeah, for my Chucky fans who have been dying for more Chucky season 3 updates, here's some. It's bittersweet. We're gonna be getting it, but it's been paused right now. But seeing all this really does make me sad for a lot of actors and creators out there in Hollywood, because like even Solo Maridueña, who's going to be the star in Blue Beetle, he put out a video talking about he's not going to be able to promote Blue Beetle anymore. He's very happy for everyone involved, but like imagine a movie you spent years, months on, poured your heart and soul, and now you have to not promote it, not talk about it. All for a good cause, but that must be heartbreaking for a lot of actors or writers attached to these projects that we're so excited to show them to people. Now they can't say anything. So really, it's an interesting time in Hollywood. This is going to go on for a while, but hopefully when it's all said and done, everybody gets a fair deal and we can just go back to geeking out about our favorite movies. Oh, okay, I know that was a heavy-handed episode, but hopefully it was still an entertaining episode, a side flick. I want to toss it off to you guys. How do you feel about all this information we just talked about? I know we're just a couple of goobers online discussing, but what do you think your solution is for like streaming and paying people fairly, or even how to handle AI? Because I don't even know how to do that. I don't think it's something we should completely ignore, but I don't want it to be something we invest so much in it replaces everything. Anything and everything, be sure and like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.